Have you ever seen such perverted goblins? In this world, goblins are all males, and in order to reproduce, they capture females from other races. Once the poor females are captured, they can't avoid being tortured. Because of this, a hero who specializes in killing goblins appears. He's cold and professional. Even though he's powerful enough to kill dragons, he still focuses on eliminating goblins. With his efforts, many beautiful girls are saved. Later, those who are saved by him madly fall in love with him. Will he build a harem? Like and subscribe. And let's see. The story begins with a priestess who comes to the Adventurers Guild and registers as an adventurer. The adventurers are graded from level 1 to level 10, and newly registered adventurers are the lowest level 10. Generally, adventurers at level 10 can only do the simplest tasks, such as killing wolves, rats, or goblins. A team of 3 level 10 adventurers just happens to lack a team member who is good at healing, so the swordsman in this team invites the priestess to join them. The priestess is also looking for companions, so she immediately agrees. The team's first mission is to fight the goblins. They all agree that goblins are very weak and that it will be an easy task. In addition to the swordsman and the priestess, the team has a female sorceress and a female fighter, and they quickly find the goblin's lair. There is a totem at the door of the lair, but no one cares about it. The swordsman, in particular, believes that his long sword is capable of killing any goblin with ease. They immediately enter the lair and move quickly through it. Soon this team will pay the price for underestimating their enemies. The goblins attack them in the dark. The sorceress kills a goblin with magic, but more goblins appear, snatch the sorceress's staff and stab her. Due to the toxin coated with the goblin's weapon, the priestess is unable to heal the sorceress's wounds. When the swordsman fights the goblins, he accidentally cuts the stone on top of the cave because his weapon is too long. The goblins take the opportunity to besiege the swordsman and brutally kill him. When the female fighter fights, she encounters a huge goblin. The goblin has great force and instantly twists the leg of the female fighter. The other goblins then take the female fighter captive, and they will then brutally torture her. The priestess is unable to fight back, so she flees with the wounded sorceress. However, in the process of escaping, they are ambushed by the goblins again, and it seems that things will end in the cruelest way. Just then, a heavily armed adventurer appears, armed with a short sword and a round shield. He kills 2 goblins very quickly. The adventurer calls himself Goblin Slayer, and as you can tell by name, he is very good at killing goblins. With no chance of survival after being poisoned, the sorceress begs the Goblin Slayer to kill her. The Goblin Slayer doesn't hesitate to end her suffering. The Goblin Slayer then spreads the goblin blood on him and the priestess to mask the smell and ensure that they are not detected by the goblins. He then tells the priestess that the totem indicates that there is a goblin shaman. Shaman is very intelligent. They know how to use tricks against humans, and they can also cast magic. If they want to deal with such a goblin tribe, they must be smarter than the shaman. The Goblin Slayer then lays a trap in the cave and then sets out to find the shaman's location. After he finds the shaman's location, he asks the priestess to cast a spell to illuminate the cave. He then rushes into the cave, throws a weapon to kill the shaman, and immediately flees. The huge goblin falls into the trap after he steps on it while chasing, and the Goblin Slayer kills him. The remaining goblins are weak, and the Goblin Slayer easily kills them and rescues the trapped female fighter. After this mission, the priestess knows that being an adventurer is not easy, and that the goblins, which look weak, can actually cause great damage to them. So she begins following the Goblin Slayer to help him destroy more goblins. The Goblin Slayer is a very special adventurer. He is a level 3 adventurer, and generally adventurers of this level have begun to fight high-level monsters such as dragons and demons, but he only kills goblins. He is able to become a level 3 adventurer because he killed many goblins and accumulated enough merit. Therefore, there are many adventurers who despise the Goblin Slayer, believing that although he kills a large number of monsters, the monsters he killed are very weak, and he is definitely not powerful. The Goblin Slayer only kills goblins because of a tragic past. He lost his parents when he was a child, and it was his sister who raised him. But one day, the goblins invaded his village. Almost the entire village was killed, and he survived by hiding in a wardrobe. Through the crack in the wardrobe, he saw his sister being brutally tortured by goblins until she died. Since then, the Goblin Slayer has been training like crazy, vowing to kill all the goblins in the world to avenge his sister and other victims. After fighting against the goblins again and again, he has gained a lot of experience. Now he is very familiar with the types, habits, and weaknesses of goblins. The Goblin Slayer is able to develop many battle plans based on the various weaknesses of the goblins, and can successfully destroy a large number of goblins in each mission. Now his life seems to be filled with only one thing, which is to eliminate goblins. Usually, he lives in a girl's house. The girl and her uncle run a cattle ranch, so people call her Cowgirl. On the day the goblins attacked the village, the cowgirl and her uncle happened to leave the village to deliver goods to the city, so they survived. For the Goblin Slayer, they are the only two remaining acquaintances. The cowgirl is deeply in love with the Goblin Slayer, but the latter has no idea of starting a new relationship, and he just wants to kill more goblins. So the cowgirl's uncle has always been worried about the cowgirl's romantic relationship issues. He doesn't know when the Goblin Slayer will choose to retire and live a normal life. The Goblin Slayer is growing famous. One day, a team of adventurers comes to seek his help. This team consists of an elf archer, a dwarf shaman, and a lizard priest. They are all very powerful and are all level 3 adventurers. Generally, a team like this can easily eliminate a goblin lair, but this time they find a very different lair, which hides over 100 goblins. Although they are powerful, it is still very dangerous for them to enter the lair without careful consideration, so they immediately think of seeking the Goblin Slayer's help. Hearing that there is a super large goblin lair, the Goblin Slayer agrees to help without hesitation. When the priestess hears about the mission, she is willing to join the team. This time the lair is not a cave, but an ancient ruin. After the elf archer accurately shoots the guards at the gate of the ancient ruins, the Goblin Slayer spreads goblin blood on everyone before entering the ancient ruin. After they enter it, the Goblin Slayer finds many traps, but does not see any totems. He finds it very strange because it means that there are no shamans and high-level goblins in this lair. But ordinary goblins do not know how to make traps. They then find an elf captive in the ancient ruin, who has been tortured by the goblins and wounded. The Goblin Slayer kills the goblin guarding the elf captive and rescues her first. The elf captive gives him a map of the ancient ruin, and according to the map, the Goblin Slayer finds out the goblins' locations. Instead of attacking directly, they have the dwarf shaman and the priestess cast magic to put the goblins to sleep, and then they kill the sleeping goblins. Soon they have killed all the goblins, and just then, an ogre appears. It turns out that the leader of this group of goblins is not a high-level goblin, but an ogre. This ogre is one of the Demon Lord's generals. He's not only strong, but also very smart, even able to cast magic. The ogre releases a huge fireball to attack the Goblin Slayer's team. Using all of her magic power, the priestess finally blocks this fireball. Then they go all out to fight Ogre. The lizard priest immediately summons an undead soldier and a weapon to attack the ogre. The dwarf shaman casts earth magic to fire stones to attack the ogre, and the elf archer blinds the ogre's eyes. After that, the Goblin Slayer tries to cut off Ogre's leg, only to be knocked off by the ogre. The damage caused to the ogre by other attacks also recovers in an instant. It seems that the ogre has a very strong healing ability. While the others are in a tough fight, the Goblin Slayer drinks a healing potion and heals his injuries. As the ogre is about to unleash a second fireball, he uses a magic scroll to defeat the ogre instantly. This scroll is actually a teleportation scroll, which connects to the bottom of the sea. When the Goblin Slayer uses the scroll, the ultra-high pressure of the sea water not only cuts off the ogre's body, but also extinguishes the fireball in an instant. The technique of making magic scrolls has long been lost, and the existing magic scrolls are very precious. The Goblin Slayer only has 2 scrolls, and he used one of them to complete the mission. The 3 new teammates doubted the Goblin Slayer's strength ever, and after this fight, they all trust him a lot. The Goblin Slayer also recognizes them. So not long after, when he receives a difficult task, he decides to form a team to finish it again. This time their destination is Watertown, and the reward is a large bag of gold coins. The next day, the team sets off for Watertown. Watertown is a city built on a large river, and it is one of the shipping hubs of the entire continent, so it is very rich and prosperous. The headquarters of the world's most popular religion is located in the Watertown, and it is built in a very spectacular shrine. The leader of the headquarters is the Sword Maiden. 10 years ago, she and the legendary hero defeated the former Demon Lord, and she is considered the second strongest person besides the hero. The Sword Maiden, who posts the mission, tells the Goblin Slayer that there have been many crimes against women in Watertown in the past month. An adventurer accidentally stopped a crime and successfully killed the criminal. Then people found that this criminal turned out to be a goblin. This is a very rare phenomenon, as the goblins' lairs are generally in the wild. They only dare to attack farms or small villages, and it is almost impossible for them to attack people in the city. The Sword Maiden guesses that the goblins are hiding in the sewers, and she posts the mission in the Adventurers Guild in Watertown. But the adventurers here are powerful and arrogant, and no one wants to enter the dirty sewers to fight low-level monsters like goblins. By chance, someone told her that there is an adventurer in the border city who specializes in killing goblins, the Goblin Slayer. That's why she invites him here. This mission really suits the Goblin Slayer, who immediately starts the mission after hearing the general situation. The team enters the sewers and finds many goblins inside. They quickly kill a large number of goblins, but still don't find the goblin's lair. Then a ship full of goblins appears in the sewers, and the goblins begin shooting the team. The priestess quickly casts magic to fend off the arrows. The rest of the team begin to prepare for a counterattack, and after the priestess magic is over, the goblin slayer and the lizard priest jump on the goblin ship, while the elf archer and the dwarf shaman support from a distance, working together to kill the goblins on board and destroy the goblin ship. The goblin slayer believes that there are more goblins upstream and that they should retreat immediately to resupply. Otherwise, more goblins will arrive and the situation will be very dangerous. Just as they are about to retreat, a giant crocodile appears. This giant crocodile has dragon blood, and it is very powerful. Plus the terrain is favorable to it. The team cannot defeat it, and they can only accelerate to escape. Luckily, the giant crocodile doesn't attack them and instead swims upstream to help the team wipe out all the goblins. Although they succeed in killing many goblins in this mission, the goblin slayer believes that the mission will be tougher next, because goblin shamans have difficulty building ships, which indicates that there must be higher level monsters who are directing goblins to invade the water town. They then return to the ground, intending to enter the sewers again after resting and resupplying to destroy the remaining enemies. While bathing in the baths, the priestess meets the sword maiden. She discovers that the sword maiden is blind and she has many scars on her body. The sword maiden tells her that it was caused when she first became an adventurer. Only then does the priestess learn that even a strong person like sword maiden failed. The next day, the team decides to enter the sewer again. The goblin slayer brings a canary because it is perfect to set a trap in the closed sewer with poison gas, and the canary will keep barking when it smells the gas, which can give them a warning in advance. This time the goblin slayer decides to go straight to the upstream end, where, according to the sewer blueprints, there are plenty of places to hide. When the team arrives at their destination, they find that this is another ancient ruin. In one room, they find a captive. When they are about to save him, they discover that the captive is actually just a skeleton. Immediately after, the door of the room is closed, and the canary begins to bark non-stop, indicating that poisonous gas has entered the room. This is clearly a trap set by the goblins. Luckily, the goblin slayer has made preparations. He takes out 2 bags of dirt, asks the dwarf shaman to plug the gaps in the room with dirt, and then casts magic to solidify the dirt. Now the poison gas cannot enter the room and flows backwards because it is blocked, and many goblins outside the room are poisoned. The goblins notice that the poison gas has no effect and begin to attack the room directly. This time, there are not only a large number of goblins, but also a goblin champion to lead the team. The goblin champion is the elite of huge goblins, similar in strength to ogres. So this battle will be more difficult than any previous battle. The team then fights back, killing many goblins, but the goblin slayer is wounded by the goblin champion. Then the priestess's magic power runs out, and the goblin champion catches her. The rest of the team members are also besieged by the goblins, and the situation is very critical. At this time, the goblin slayer stands up in pain and strangles the goblin champion's neck from behind. The goblin champion struggles madly because of suffocation, and many goblins are killed by him by mistake. The rest of the team take advantage of this to fight back and defeat the goblins around them. When the goblin champion is about to get rid of the goblin slayer blinds one of his eyes. When the goblin champion is injured, he immediately leads the other goblins to escape. After the team is safe, the goblin slayer finally faints from his injuries. When he wakes up again the next day, he finds the priestess and the sword maiden sleeping beside him. It turns out that the sword maiden has a magical healing magic. That is, if she and a girl who is also good at healing magic accompany a person to sleep, that person can recover no matter how serious his injuries are. The sword maiden tells the goblin slayer that when she first became an adventurer, she was captured by goblins and subjected to brutal torture for several days. Therefore, even if she can defeat stronger monsters now, she still fears goblins. She often has nightmares that she has been captured by a goblin again, but last night while sleeping next to the goblin slayer, she slept well. Then the priestess also wakes up. It's her first time sleeping with the goblin slayer, and now she is very shy. Other teammates also come to visit the goblin slayer, and they are grateful to him. If he hadn't seriously injured the goblin champion, they would probably have died in battle. On this day, they intend to rest for the day and then enter the sewers again to continue destroying the remaining enemies. They eat a meal at the best restaurant in Watertown and then tour the beautiful city. In previous battles, the Goblin Slayer's armor was badly damaged, and he sends it to the smithy for repair. After his armor is repaired, he travels with the priestess around the harbor of Watertown. They see an ice cream truck, which is made with ice magic in this world. It is very rare because of the difficulty of the manufacturing process. They buy 2 servings of ice cream and enjoy the rare tranquility tranquility as they watch the sunset. After a day of rest, the team enters the sewer again. This time they move quietly and soon reach the end of the upstream. Among the many rooms, there is a huge mirror in one room, which is guarded by an eyeball monster. The eyeball monster can release powerful light, and no matter how hard the substance is, it can be destroyed in an instant. If they fight it directly, they will definitely lose. So the Goblin Slayer comes up with a solution. He carries a bag of flour which he intended to use against goblins, but now he has to use it against the eyeball monster. The Goblin Slayer allows the elf archer to attract the attention of the eyeball monster while he spreads flour in the room. When the flour fills the room, the Goblin Slayer and the elf archer exit the room. The priestess casts magic to block the door of the room while lighting flour. A violent dust explosion successfully kills the eyeball monster. Then they discover that the image in the mirror is a distant goblin lair. They guess that the mirror is supposed to be a portal, through which the goblins enter the sewers. This mirror is a top-notch magic item, which is obviously not something that a goblin can have. That is to say, someone placed a mirror in the sewer and ordered the goblins to attack the water town through the mirror. The explosion just now attracts more goblins. The Goblin Slayer has come up with a strategy to wipe out both the goblins and the goblin lair in the sewers. He asks the most powerful lizard priest to remove the mirror, while the others hide on the opposite side of the mirror. This room has already produced many cracks because of the explosion just now. The dwarf shaman casts magic to attack the top of the room, causing it to collapse directly. The team hides on the back of the mirror, and the rubble caused by the collapse falls on the front of the mirror. The rubble does not smash the mirror, but is teleported directly to the goblin lair, so the team will not take any damage, and the goblin lair will be destroyed by the rubble. The goblins of the sewers also all die in the collapse. Once again, the Goblin Slayer has done the job perfectly. He reports the result of the mission to the Sword Maiden, who tells the Goblin Slayer that she actually knows someone is manipulating the goblins in the sewers. This man is supposed to be a subordinate of the Demon King. He knows that the Sword Maiden is afraid of goblins, so he deliberately uses the mirror to teleport a large number of goblins to attack Watertown. If it weren't for the Goblin Slayer, Watertown would have been in a catastrophe. After this, the Sword Maiden falls in love with the Goblin Slayer, who gives her a strong sense of security. The Goblin Slayer has no interest in falling in love with the Sword Maiden, but he promises to arrive and kill all goblins whenever they appear, even in her dreams. After receiving his promise, the Sword Maiden never dreams of goblins again. The Goblin Slayer throws the mirror into the ocean before leaving Watertown, so that the enemy no longer has the opportunity to use the mirror to do bad things. After returning to the border, the Goblin Slayer lives a quiet time. Now his life is a little different than before. He used to act alone, but now he has a lot of companions. His teammates originally wanted to form a temporary team with him, but after several adventures, they are willing to stay on the border and become permanent teammates with the Goblin Slayer. In addition to being his hometown, the reason why the Goblin Slayer lives on the border is that the border is the place with the most goblins. On this day, he finds a lot of goblin footprints outside the farm of the cowgirl, guessing that there are more goblins here than in Watertown. It is likely that these goblins will be led by the highest level goblin, the Goblin King, and they may attack the farm today or tomorrow night. The Goblin Slayer believes they intend to use the farm as a stronghold to attack nearby towns. He quickly asks the cowgirl to flee the farm, but the cowgirl insists on staying. She knows that the Goblin Slayer will fight the goblins until the last moment to protect her farm, so she is reluctant to escape alone, and if the Goblin Slayer dies, she will die with him. The Goblin Slayer sees the cowgirl's determination and stops letting her escape. He then goes to the Adventurers Guild for help. Many people don't like the Goblin Slayer, as they think he is too unsociable and can't do anything but kill goblins. But when the Goblin Slayer asks for help, none of the adventurers choose to refuse. They all know what it means for hundreds of goblins to attack, so they're willing to help him stop the disaster. That night, sure enough, a Goblin King leads hundreds of goblins to attack the farm. In order to block bows and arrows, they even use human captives as shields. The dwarf shaman and another sorceress immediately cast magic to put the goblins to sleep, and the other adventurers take the opportunity to rescue the captives. Then the adventurers begin to take action, and many of them are high-level adventurers, repelling the first attack of the goblins very quickly. The Goblin King then sends his cavalry for a second attack. The Goblin Slayer has made preparations, and a group of adventurers has made spears against the cavalry based on his advice. When the cavalry approaches, they raise their spears to block the cavalry's attack. After both failed attacks, the Goblin King sends 2 goblin champions and many huge goblins, who are the most elite troops of the tribe. The strongest adventurers bravely step forward to fight this elite force, but the Goblin Slayer is not among them, as he has already arrived at the rear of the battlefield to kill the Goblin King. The Goblin King is not the strongest goblin, and he's even weaker than the Goblin Champion. But the Goblin King is the smartest one. He knows how to use all kinds of tactics and tricks, and can even learn human language. Because of this, the Goblin King is more dangerous than any other goblin. After finding the Goblin King, the Goblin Slayer fights him one-on-one. Although the Goblin King is not as strong as the Goblin Champion, he is still much stronger than the average huge goblins. This is not an easy battle. Meanwhile, the adventurers on the farm have almost won. They kill most of the goblins, leaving only the two most powerful goblin champions alive. Several level 3 adventurers are fighting them. Most level 3 adventurers often fight huge monsters, and they're even better at dealing with the goblin champions than the Goblin Slayer. Soon they kill the remaining 2 Goblin Champions, and now only the Goblin King has not been killed. The Goblin Slayer's combat power is weak among the level 3 adventurers. While fighting the Goblin King alone, he is put at a disadvantage. What he's really good at is not fighting, but making well thought out battle plans. Before the battle began, he had the priestess ambush in the woods on the side. After the Goblin King consumes a lot of physical strength in battle, the priestess casts magic to trap him. Now the Goblin King no longer has the strength to break free of this magic, and he has to ask the priestess for mercy. After so many adventures, the priestess already knows that goblins are cunning and despicable. She ignores the Goblin King's pleas for mercy and continues to trap him with magic. The Goblin Slayer takes this opportunity to kill the Goblin King with a single slash. At this point, the battle ends in a complete victory for the adventurers. The next night, the adventurers throw a party to celebrate the victory. As a token of gratitude to the adventurers, the Goblin Slayer will pay for the party tonight. At the party, he takes off his helmet unexpectedly, and everyone goes to watch him. He wears a helmet almost at all times, and this is the first time most people have seen his true face, causing everyone to be very excited. The Goblin Slayer feels everyone's enthusiasm and is happy. Gradually, he finds the meaning of life other than killing goblins, which is to become a kind adventurer with a great sense of justice. The first season of this anime ends here. This is a very special fantasy anime. The protagonists of most anime fight against strong enemies like the Demon Lord or the huge dragons, while the Goblin Slayer only kills the weak goblins. But what he does is very meaningful. Compared to those high-level monsters, goblins, which show up everywhere, can actually cause more damage to humans. So even though he only kills goblins, I still think he's a great hero. Do you think so? Comment below to share your opinions. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope my channel will be better and better. Bye!